Hello and welcome to the NFL show by the Dropback here on Brit Ballin. I'm Sam Lewis and joined by all the boys again today. Stan Wilson, Matt Burns-Peak and Joe Costanzo. How are we all doing, fellas?
Pretty
Fantastic.
Good.
Woo!
Yeah, we've
Boys,
got a
back
big...
down.
We are. I mean, there's only Stan and writer Alex on the podcast episode earlier in the week. I mean, it probably did us a lot of good, seeing as though those are the only two out of us that know anything about college football. And it's definitely worth a listen if you haven't managed to do so already there. So
fantastic podcast, if I may say so myself.
You may, because it was.
Indeed.
And so this week we've got some fancy talk coming up for you later because we realised we're in a charity league that's drafting tomorrow and we've done no communication on any draft strategy yet. So we're just going to use this as an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, this is our war room, man.
Yeah, I mean, most people will keep their war rooms private, but...
we're so confident we're going to win that we can share our war room.
Exactly. Yeah, so if you are in this charity draft...
Sorry.
You know what? Watch the stream, but watch the stream, but keep it on mute because the numbers are really helpful, I suppose.
Mm.
Yeah.
That seems fair.
Doesn't sound desperate at all.
No, exactly. All right. So, but we do actually have some actual NFL news.
Actual news at this time in the season.
I know, and probably the biggest news from the entire off season is that Carl Nassib becomes the first active NFL player to come out while on an NFL roster, which was pretty incredible.
He's a pioneer, the first of his kind, and it's what is great to see is that like now young gay people. This guy, I know. What is great to see now is that young gay people in America, especially those aspiring to be football players, have not a role model. They've got someone who has been the first. That has been done. That box has been ticked. They've got a role model to look up to, and it proves to them it is possible, and it will just makes them feel much more confident with their identity, who they are, and it's just great that he's come out and he's risked the abuse that he's potentially going to get from people online for the progression of the sport and progression of acceptance across sport and in America.
Yeah, the weird thing about this, I mean, there hasn't been much outright abuse. I mean, maybe there has been outright abuse online. I haven't seen it. It's because those people, you're never going to change their minds anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the people that are commenting. It's like, oh, why couldn't you just keep this to yourself? I don't care that he's gay, but I don't.
He's a pioneer.
Sharing it. You should just be playing football and not sharing your personal stuff. But that's the entire point of why it's so great that he's come out.
Yeah,
to show that it's a thing.
To be honest, though, he said himself that he doesn't really. He hopes that in the future people don't even have to do this. Like it will just be kind of accepted to the point where they don't have to make a big announcement that they're gay. But the fact that he's the only one who's done it so far. I mean, there have definitely been gay players in the NFL before.
You got facts to back that up, Joe? You got
Warren
names?
Moon.
It's just
Warren Moon said he's in the 70s and 80s when he was playing. Like he knew loads of gay players on his team throughout his time. It's just they never came out publicly.
Exactly, because it's just with the times, and it makes sense that as things have evolved throughout time, like more and more gay players hopefully will now have a support to come out, or just and hopefully we can get to a point where it isn't a big deal and it's not like this big media thing. And the fact that this is the first openly gay active player. I know there was like Michael Sam before during the draft or whatever.
He just was bad at football, though, was the issue with him.
Yeah, Carl Nassib's actually he's a good player. Like he's
on he's on his third or fourth contract now. So
yeah,
good player.
It was awesome to see as well that he was like the top selling jersey the next day.
That was sick. Yeah.
That's dope.
Nice.
Do you not know that, Stan?
No, I did not know that.
You're a social media guy. You got to be knowing all the sort of trends that's going on.
You need to know every player's jersey sales, Stan, because you do social media, and that's what good social media people do.
They know the facts.
I don't think I can count as the social media guy anymore. I think it's dipped down ever since I've started working. Really,
you're chasing money, man.
I mean, I think you need to sort out your priorities. Yeah, stop chasing the coins, start chasing the followers again.
Yeah,
right.
That's what it's about. But yeah, I mean, like to your points, Lou, like fair play to Carl Nassib because social media, as Stan will know, is a wild place. Like it to be, and like I know where we want to get to that point where it's not a big deal, but like accepting where the current sort of climate is in terms of gay rights and that sort of stuff around the world. Like, we're still not at that point yet, and to see him do such a brave thing, and like the support around the league was pretty cool as well. Like, I liked a lot that a lot of players came out and were like, yeah, that's my guy, like, proud of him, that kind of thing. Like, it was a really positive moment, I think, hopefully for the NFL, and hopefully can be a momentum for that going forward.
I assume it wasn't like a surprise around like his teammates and stuff. Like, do you reckon the team knew like beforehand?
I'm sure some people in the team
yeah.
knew. Some of his closer friends would have done it. I don't know. You never know, do you? Because obviously,
I
you're
guess
not privy to those conversations
coming out.
Yeah, good for Carl. Good for the NFL.
Yeah, it's your weekly feel-good story.
Love that.
Yep. And so the other news is that the NFL is shafting the scouting combine, putting it up for bids to start hosting from 2023, away from Indianapolis, that is slap bang in the center of America with all the infrastructure that comes with being a city that is that sort of crossroads city.
30 damn years.
The location.
30 damn years.
The location isn't so much the problem for me because we've got planes now. They can be anywhere in America within
You
like a
have
few
planes.
hours.
That is a good point.
This is why that social media guy is up with all the trends.
Knows about planes.
No, it's more the point that everyone knows what they're doing in India now. It's just like, it's a routine. It's a yearly routine. Like, what's the point in changing it? Like,
and it's like got to the point where it's kind of like a tradition as well, right? It's one of those like, you get invited to the scouting combine at Indy. It's like a special thing. It's like when Tottenham started playing matches at Wembley, and everyone were like, "This is bullshit," because Wembley's like a special place, and you got
Tottenham is shit.
Yeah, got Tottenham wagging around there.
I don't think it's a.
I'm pretty sure you've completely just spanned this entire topic in a way just to diss Tottenham.
To be honest, like the way I see it, players will still be excited to get the invite to the combine, whether or not it's in Indianapolis.
I don't know. I think they might just been off the whole NFL career now that the
because now it's not in Indianapolis.
I'm not doing it then.
It's gonna be such a big deal. At the end of the day, the NFL did this because the cities are going to bid and it's going to make the NFL some sort of money. And I mean, Indianapolis has been the home place of the draft combine for what 30 years now. So
the late 80s, wasn't it?
Been a while. It's been a minute.
That is 30 years, Stu.
You said it with the question.
It'll be the 90s that it's 30 years.
Could have said it with more.
It'll be 91.
God knows for you. If you were born in the ice.
I don't know. It just seems like asking for trouble when they got such a smooth operation, because the amount of like medical stuff that goes on at the combine as well. Like the hospitals know what they're doing around that weekend. You're shaking your head, Joe. Basically, every player that goes in there goes and gets an MRI for the teams.
Yeah, now you're gonna have to find competent doctors in other cities.
Because cities, no other cities got MRI scanner.
Where it is.
Not like NFL players have got like access to the most private healthcare anyway. What are you on about?
People fly
tell that
just to get MRI scans in Indy. Like, so all in fact.
The point is that there's hospitals already set up. Like they've got so many around the stadium. How it is, and it's just easy access. It's not a nothing point.
It is a nothing problem. Do you see how quick they set up the
Do you realise that?
Whoa. Criticise me at different times. Sam criticised me first, and then I'll joke.
Okay. Did you not see how quick they knocked up the Nightingale hospitals in England and the ones they did in like Japan and China? They can knock up hospitals.
Because then MRI is just as easy to do as a quick COVID jab straight.
You buy an MRI machine, you plug it in, and switch it on.
That's
down IKEA.
So what? You want portable MRI machines?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they're not progressing human science or not?
Joe, your criticism.
So the NFL host these things called football games every week, where every single NFL stadium has a shitload of medical staff available, ready for whatever. So I'm pretty sure they can handle changing medical staff to another city. It's just a nothing point. Like,
it doesn't. Some of those games aren't in Indy either.
It's not a factor. It's not a factor at all.
Every game in the NFL, there's not 200 MRI scans going on around. They have to fit into a
They're not going on at all. You're acting like Indianapolis has got 200 MRI scanners right next to each other and they all go in at once. No, they just fucking book an appointment, man. Like,
you've got to have the facilities to book the appointment over the weekend.
They have hospitals.
Yes, private hospitals don't exist. I'm saying the number is there. It's already set up.
Why are you pretending like Indianapolis has got the most hospitals in the US or something.
Because it does.
It's
I've looked it up. It's got the most hospitals.
Just
It's the
lie.
MRI. It's the
It's
MRI
in the
capital of
fucking,
the
like,
world.
Midwest. Or some
Why would
I don't-
you have more hospitals than New York?
How
Yeah.
the fuck did we get onto this
Los
shit, man?
Angeles. It's just
Right.
Slu's got a very stupid point, and he
Slue,
refuses
we
to
are
be
hosting.
wrong
Can we
again.
just move this on now? Like, can we all
Yeah, yeah.
agree the combine should not move on from Indy?
You agree that Slu's
So what, Joe? What was that?
that Slu, you're wrong once again.
I'm once again wrong. Okay.
What the hell was that, man?
I
stand
want it in
by
Baltimore.
I love this
Why?
show, but I
Is
don't
that
think
your
the listeners
fucking
do.
angle for this, Joe? You want it in Baltimore?
It's still fairly central in the grand scheme of things, and
Can we move
also
on from hospital
No, it's
logistics,
not.
please?
east. It's central east.
It's central. It's on the east, is what you've just said.
Yeah, it's in the center east of the country.
So it's not central, is what you're telling me? Is that it's
Like-
not central? It's towards the east.
Anyway,
London-
fantasy football. We have been
Right.
lucky enough. So I mentioned earlier that we've got our charity fantasy league coming up, in which we are competing on behalf of Mind, that help obviously people out with their mental health issues. And we have also been fortunate enough to be granted the number 1 pick in the draft, obviously
yeah.
because it was fluke. But
Hacker.
question is-
I'm a hacker man.
you're a hacker man. All right, hacker man. What do we do with the first overall pick of the draft?
Don't ask him.
It's PPR, by the way. I'm sure you
PPR?
haven't even checked that yet.
It doesn't matter.
Before
I'm
you
taking
ask-
Pat Mahomes.
Oh wow!
Right, this is why Joe's nowhere near the draft board.
I was gonna
I
say,
went to the final in our fantasy league last year, and who
Because
did
you
I take
auto
with the first-
drafted.
You didn't
Who
fucking
did I
do
take?
anything.
Yes, I did. And I
Mate,
picked
hello,
Pat
mate,
Mahomes
mate,
with the
mate,
first
mate,
You were
Mahomes
overall
playing
pick.
argument.
Minecraft during the draft.
Right. Listen. And that's just how good I was, Stan. Anyway, listen.
What the
You
hell?
take Pat Mahomes with the number 1 overall pick, people start to panic and take QBs
Oh,
with their number
really?
1 overall pick.
And because it's
Then
Minecraft,
you
have
get
to wait
good
till the bottom of the
value
second.
on
Just
a
let him finish
running
his
back
points
you
out.
would have got with a mid to late first round pick in the second round.
Okay, and to be fair to Joe, it's
I don't hate that.
like a triple flex league, in which one of those flex spots can be a quarterback. So getting a quarterback
Thank
early may
you.
not be one of the worst decisions in the world.
Yeah, you basically need 2 QBs in that kind of.
Well,
league
you do
because-
need 2 QBs because everyone's going to do that.
Well, yeah, because QBs get 40 or 50 points a game.
All right, so having been disgusted by Joe's suggestion, which actually isn't the worst suggestion in the world,
No,
It
Stan,
makes
I mean,
sense.
Kind of makes sense, to be fair.
Right, how many people are in this league?
2
12.
12. So we've got to
12,
wait another 20. Is it 24 picks? Yeah, 24 picks pretty much. 23 picks.
22,
Yeah.
because we are one of the
22.
12.
Okay, 22 picks before we pick again. And in that time, we're going to be able to get. I don't trust it because
What
There
you're
are only, like-
hoping,
So we need to take a QB. by
what
the
you're
way.
hoping is that everyone after you, at least 7 of them, take a QB. For that
So
to
So
be
you
a
need to take
viable
a QB.
strategy.
with the
do that
first.
strategy with your do that strategy with your second round pick then.
But what if we don't like the value in the second round?
Your
pick?
second is basically an early third because it's the last pick of the second round.
Okay, take your two call it your 2/3 then. Use them. Use one of those in the QB and the other on those. Just on a
All right, so Stan, who
Position
would you
play.
take in the first overall pick?
Christian McCaffrey. If it's PPR, like
And it is
Boring.
like-
PPR.
It's boring.
if it's
But
PPR, then
we
Christian
need
McCaffrey is
two
stupid.
QBs on the team playing. I don't understand why you wouldn't take a QB. The first
Is that what you're going to say
overall.
for every single pick? If we're not picking we need 2 QBs. We've got to pick a QB at every pick. Like you've
Well,
got
we
to
need
pick other
we
players.
need to start 2 QBs. They score the most points, and so
don't
we
think-
need a QB
got
early.
to-
Otherwise,
well,
we're
but-
not going to get a good one.
You're going to get better value if you take Christian McCaffrey at 1. You can still get a high.
But you'll get a
scoring
better
QB.
value at running back or wide receiver if you
I
take
don't
a
think so.
QB with the first.
I don't
overall
think so. I
pick.
think
I-
CMC at
because
1.
because like I said, people will panic and start taking Lamar Jackson, Russell
but the
Wilson.
drop off is
Aaron
not
Rodgers.
gonna do it.
Okay. I'm gonna go in and I'm looking at ADP, and obviously this isn't the same draft because it's not for a 2 QB draft. But apparently you can get bar Pat Mahomes any of the QBs at pick 24.
That's what I'm thinking. That's my logic here.
Would that change your
pick
decision,
one.
Joe, or do you think people will draft QBs early with the
No,
opportunity?
it's not even about the. It's not. Well, it's not specifically about Pat Mahomes. It's about forcing people to take QBs early, so then you get a better running back or wide receiver with your next pick.
No,
Okay.
but I still think that taking CMC
Or
at 1 is a no-brainer because you can get a high ranking QB
Or
with your
about
with our late
injury
second round
concerns?
pick. Well, you could
He's
say the
had a
same
few
for any other.
injuries the last few seasons.
Yeah,
I think it was just last season.
it was just last season.
Yeah, season before as well.
No,
He
that
might
was
miss
when he won
one
like
game.
1,000.
He's
Why
Why are
absolutely
you taking CMC and not like Derrick Henry?
PPR. He catches
Yeah,
the ball,
that does
receives
make
the
I
ball.
was
sense.
going to say McCaffrey can catch the goddamn football.
He gets more touches. Yeah, sure. I think Henry's a better running back, but as a pass catcher and a running back and a fantasy player, I think CMC is just it's so much logical. Like what I'm saying is the drop off between RB1 and RB5 is going to be bigger than the drop off between QB1 and QB5.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on that train. To be honest.
Apparently, ADP at 24, the best running back available is Josh Jacobs. And you're looking at J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, Miles
There
Sanders.
you go. That's exactly
you
my
don't
point.
have a bona fide number 1 running back would be the
But
issue.
Stan,
I'd say
do you
Josh Jacobs is a number 1 running back.
He is, and also Stan. What I'm saying with taking a QB number 1 is that other people are going to take more QBs, and it means Josh Jacobs won't be the only option at running back when we have 2 picks later on.
It just seems incredibly risky because there are only a certain few QBs who people would end up justifying like a high pick on. So you take Pat Mahomes with number 1 overall. Someone's going to then take Lamar
But that's
Jackson
the only
and Josh Allen.
Aaron Rodgers.
No, because they won't risk it. He hasn't turned up to training camp.
Why would they take? Okay, good point.
Kyler Murray in there.
Dak?
No,
Yeah, Dak would be a
Maybe.
good shout.
I
but
would be
people-
happy with Dak with our second round
Deshaun
pick.
Watson.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take
Crazy.
Deshaun Watson. And again, we can't talk about him.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson. I would be again. Yeah, like Stan says, cautious. You got to the first overall pick. You got to be certain he's going to play.
Can't be certain he's going to play, and he's going
Like,
to.
remember that year when everyone picked David Johnson number 1 overall and they missed the entire season.
Yeah, but that's because he
David
tore his
Johnson's
AC. But that could happen to CMC. He tore his
Well,
AC.
yeah,
That
what I'm
could
saying is it
happen to Pat Mahomes,
derails your entire season. All right. Either way, Matt, would you stick with the CMC train?
I mean, unless I'm mistaken, I think Jakeem Grant might well be available.
Oh, obviously, but I'm assuming he's gone by the first overall pick.
Yeah, of course he is. I don't know because I do kind of like Joe's logic. I mean, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have done our draft plan on a live stream because Joe's plan of like trying to scare people.
We've got the
and
number
take
1 pick. It's
QBs
fine.
earlier. Yeah, but the whole point that what Joe's playing chess and you're playing checkers, Dan, because Joe's trying to take a QB straight away and then make everyone go, "Oh fuck!" and
Joe's
take
playing
the
noughts and
QB.
crosses here.
He's damn good at it though.
Probably not.
And also, to be fair, Pat Mahomes is absolutely electric. So I
What if we
don't
went
hate
QB
that.
1?
It worked.
in the
It
first
worked
and
for me
second round?
last year.
Yeah,
Ooh.
and also like this league is a bit strange in its makeup. I also, on a side point, don't like the fact that there are so many different variations of the fantasy league where it's like
Yeah,
PPR
just
flex
have
and all that. Like, just have a fucking standard format.
I'm fine with PPR and standard, but you don't need the second quarterback stuff. You don't need 3.
Yeah, it
flex
makes it a bit
spots.
weird, to be
It's
honest.
a bit bogus.
Although unless you've only got like an 8-man team, and then you need more flex spots to make it somewhat competitive.
What's a
Because
flex spot?
I don't hate
flex.
that, but like,
flex
It's where
spot,
you
so it
can
could be a
play,
tight
like,
end.
wide
Like,
Oh,
receiver,
flex spot. I
running
think you
back,
said
or
flex
tight end.
bot, as in like a robot.
oh mate, yeah.
stick a robot there if you want, Stan. But yeah, so I mean, I think the value of QBs in our situation with this league will be higher, and I think Pat Mahomes is going to be pretty.
Yeah, so
good.
a
I don't
second
hate
round
that.
pick would be what I'd take Josh Allen over Pat Mahomes just because the value you could get him at. I'd take. You can get so much better value, like in terms of your pick position, because Chris, as I said, the drop off between the 5th best running back from the first running back is going to be massive compared to quarterbacks.
But
Because
it's
we
easy
did-
to
CMC
find
has so
late
much
round
guaranteed
guys.
volume.
Yeah,
that's true.
CMC, Aaron Jones, they're the creme de la creme when it comes to PPR because the amount they touch the football.
But also, like, it's a skill position, right? And the risk with starting skill position players is that the injury risk is greater than for a quarterback.
Why does
traditionally.
every other
Especially
single fancy league in the country pick skill positions in the first 2 rounds then?
I don't know, maybe because
Don't
Yeah,
reinvent
All I
the
can
wheel.
say is
It works.
I've never regretted taking a QB in the first round, despite what
Because
people
you
say.
auto
Have you
draft.
done it every year, Joe?
That's a
No, he did it
lie.
once last year. All right, so if we're in a standard league and you don't take Joe's absolute brilliant but mad strategy of the panic QB, where do you think like the best sort of place to take a QB would be, Stan? Would you take him before round 4? You wait one of those that wait till round 7 and just get what you get at that point?
I'm more last year it was a good tactic until he got injured, but I waited until the flurry was over with everyone reaching really high for QBs, and I got Dak in the 5th. But I had my eyes on Dak from the start, and I took him in the 4th or 5th, I think, and it paid off really well. But then he got hurt, so it's all about finding a scheme fit with a guy who can just put up numbers. He doesn't have to be the best QB in the league. He's got to be a guy who's going to put up numbers because that's all the fancy is. You've got to look for a guy. Pardon?
Yeah, no, he is.
It's not like you chose a bad QB though. He's a
no. But he wasn't.
very good.
Our perception of Dak now is different to how it was last year. Like I picked him because I saw he's a good QB, and he's in like a Garrett-less offense. He's got new pieces around him. Like he's got CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, Amari Cooper, Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard, and so I took him based on his system and based on the players around him, and based on what I'd seen of him last year. And it paid off. So this year, what I'm going to look for in a QB is a similar thing, a guy I like who's in a good system, not necessarily the best guy, because I don't believe in drafting QBs that early, again, because of the drop-off in other position groups. So, yeah, that's the way I go about things. And it was paying off until
eye on then. If you're sort of round 5-6 looking at someone, who do you have the idea on this year? Because I assume Dak's going to go higher than that.
Yeah, Dak will probably be 3rd round. I think Matt Stafford could end up slipping a bit just because of the fact he used to play for the Lions and the Rams weren't particularly great last year. Stafford could definitely slip. I
do like drafting someone that has a bit more mobility though in fantasy, just because of those easy points.
Kyler Murray.
You want a bit of a dual threat.
Murray won't be Murray would be he'll go quite quickly. He won't be one of those like mid-round guys.
He'll be there in the 5th.
He's the 3rd.
He won't go in the 5th.
Off the board at the moment.
He run because of the way
legs, I guess.
Well, yeah, and the fact he does pass.
Third. Wait, it's 3rd.
Yeah.
3rd overall.
That's means 3. Not 3rd overall, but 3rd quarterback overall.
Third quarterback. What? Mahomes, Rodgers, then
Mahomes, Josh Allen, Murray. Then Lamar,
Murray?
Then Dak, then Russell Wilson, then Justin Herbert.
Murray
then Aaron
over
Rodgers.
Lamar is a bit wild.
Wait, then Aaron Rodgers. Did you just say Aaron Rodgers like
You're
the
forgetting
8th
that people don't know if he's going to play.
Football. And it's fantasy football. Murray could put up similar numbers through the air to Aaron Rodgers and then add a ton more on the ground as well. Like
that's why Jalen Hurts is being drafted really high, even though no one thinks he's a top tier quarterback. He's going to run for a lot of yards.
Yeah, it's fantasy football.
He'll run for a lot of touchdowns as well.
That's the thing with Dak. He's such a weapon in the red zone. But Matt, are you a early quarterback drafter, late quarterback drafter? Or does it depend?
It kind of depends. It depends what you're picking, really. And I feel like if you're in quite a league with lots of players, I tend to try and get a quarterback sorted pretty early, just because then it can become a little. Well, you don't want to end up with fucking Nick Foles or someone like that, because all the good quarterbacks have gone and there's been a run. That's definitely the position where you see a run start and then all of a sudden everyone jumps onto it. So, I mean, I tend to steer towards getting your top guy at each position early, even if you feel like it's a reach, like in terms of pick value.
Fair enough. That makes sense. So if it's kind of guys like, right, he could be going in the next round, I'm going to take him now.
Yeah, exactly. Get your guys. Identify the like 2 or 3 people at each position where you're like, I want them. And even narrow that down further you can narrow that down further on the day of your draft in terms of like 3 players that you're like, these are my 3 main targets, and then just fucking go and get them. Doesn't matter what other people think.
That's the thing with quarterbacks as well, though. Once you get past like that first clump, they're all basically the same. So you can wait after that until.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like it depends. You can either go one of 2 ways. You can go through the. Depends how many people are in your team in your league. Firstly. Because if you have few enough people, you can just cycle through average QBs depending on matchups, like signing off waivers and stuff.
I don't think you want to be waiver surfing QBs though. Like in most leagues, Yeah, in a league with like 8 players or something like that, then you probably can afford to,
Yeah.
because there's still decent ones available. But
I
if
got
you're in a
Justin
league,
Herbert off waivers last year.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like if you're in like a 12-man or over league, then it's going to be tough to get good value at quarterback on the waiver wire, especially when people start to go down as well.
And everyone's probably going to be starting 2 quarterbacks as well in this league. So
Yeah.
that's 24 right there on people's rosters.
What time is our draft?
It is at 8 p.m. I want to say, but because it's all online, people don't necessarily know each other that well. There's long draft picks.
How long have we got on the clock?
I'm not entirely sure, but we'll know.
In the car,
we're gonna be waiting right up till the last second, just like they do in the real draft. All right, so Matt, you mentioned something previously about your guys that you go up and get. So let's talk about some of our like favorite options that we have. Obviously, everyone wants to go and get like a DeAndre Hopkins, Derrick Henry at some point in the draft, but so no point talking about them. So let's talk like sort of a little bit later in the draft. Who are those guys you think could be league winners that aren't going to come at too much of a premium?
I don't know how much of a premium he'll be, but just based on what he did for me last year, Justin Jefferson, I would say.
That's solid, yeah. He's going to be tough to get this year.
I don't know what round he'll go in. I managed to get him off waivers of all things.
He'll be a second rounder, I reckon.
Second rounder, really?
Unless you do your QB thing and it throws people into panic, then yeah, he's about the wide receiver 8 at the moment.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
People are talking about him as a top 5 receiver in the league. I don't think he can really.
He's definitely a league winner for me, like generally speaking. Just
yeah, but Joe, I'm not going to lie to you, Joe. You may as well have just said DK Metcalf there. It's not exactly a hidden one at this point.
Also a league winner. Okay. So you want like an average, or what?
It doesn't have to be average, but I just think Jefferson's being spoken about being a top 5 receiver. Like we don't think he is, but he's in that conversation.
I've got a massive sleeper for you.
All right, let's hear it, Stan.
I don't think he's a massive sleeper. I think
that's what you said.
Yeah.
You came in.
He's a massive sleeper. He's a massive sleeper. He's not one of the top guys, but he's a top guy who goes slightly under the radar, I think, because of the guy who was above him last year, who's now left. I think Calvin Ridley next year is in prime position to absolutely boom.
Okay.
There's no Julio Jones there, and he really, really, really he went off last year.
Bit of course, a bust year for him, isn't it?
I think
he is being drafted ahead of Justin Jefferson at the moment.
Oh, okay.
You guys are thinking people that are wide awake.
Can I choose one?
Yeah, come back to me then later.
Let's try again, Joe.
CD Lamb.
Yeah, I think that may be a little bit of a better one. Yeah, he's wide receiver 18, being drafted sort of 50 overall.
I don't like that pick. I
really liked CD Lamb last year. Did you watch any Cowboys games? It was like the only thing that was watchable.
I'm talking fantasy football here.
He did
let him make his point, and then you can come back with your rebuttal.
He was the only bloody Cowboys receiver nabbing tuddies last year, and that was But actually, I don't think Amari Cooper got that many tuddies last year in comparison.
Cooper was class.
I don't know. Slew looks like he's looking at the moment, but no, genuinely, if you watch any Cowboys games, it just looked like CD Lamb was playing on another level compared to the other receivers, including Amari Cooper, in my opinion. So I want to see what it's like when Dak is actually back and it's not Andy Dalton or whoever the fuck their third name, random Italian QB's name is. Yeah,
they each of the starting receivers, Lamb, Cooper, and Gallup, each got 5 touchdowns, and that was without Dak playing for the majority of the season. So they're going to move the ball. And to be honest, like you said, they've got Amari Cooper there and Michael Gallup, so he's not going to be like double covered a lot. I don't hate that pick.
I really, really like him.
I like Gallup, Cooper, and Garrett Cooper and Lamb this year because of the amount that Cowboys throw the football, because their defense is still not great. They're going to have to throw the football an awful lot. That's the reason Dak and
garbage
Cooper
time, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real winners of fantasy are garbage time players.
But the big downside with these 3 is the fact there are 3 of them, and the fact that the ball's going to get spread around a lot. Like, I know you can still rely on at least 2 of them. Like, Cup. God, what am I on about? Lamb and Cooper are going to pop off. Like, they'll probably still both go for like 1,000 yards each, few touchdowns each. But I wouldn't rely on Gallup so much as the third guy. Like,
I wasn't bloody saying Gallup though. We're saying Lamb.
And to be fair, I think in nowadays NFL there is enough balls being thrown around that to satisfy 3 targets. But you're right, you've got to be sure on that.
Outrageous.
Matt, who have you got? That's not.
I can't believe
Jakeem
you just said that as a sentence.
Outrageous phrasing. I mean, I know I spoke about him a few weeks ago. Especially ruined your day, Slew, when I brought him up. But Mike Gesicki is good in fantasy. I'll tell you, he gets a lot of catches. He's good in the red zone. He seemed down the stretch to gain a bit of chemistry with Tua as well, which was really important. I mean, it helped that he was pretty much the only fucking healthy target that Tua had to throw to. But yeah, he's got a lot of. I expect him this year, especially, to gain a bunch of touchdowns, especially in the red zone. And yeah, good.
Yeah, he's one of those that's like it's separating the difference between a really good fantasy player and a really good regular player.
Oh, he's both. So no.
Stan, who have you got? Oh, sorry, Joe.
If we're going down that route, can I just get in my?
If you say Mark Andrews, it doesn't count. Like you said, he's out of the way. No, well done, Joe. You've picked one of the best 4 tight ends.
Yeah, but is he going in the first 2 rounds? Then I can say him.
Fuck no.
Is that what you quantify as a sleeper?
Well, this isn't sleep.
That's
Yeah, no, he's not. You could probably get him at very top of the 5th. You probably want to take him in the 4th.
There
if
you
want to be
go.
sure about it.
That is very good. That's great value for someone.
Lads, it looks like our 5th overall pick is locked in with Mark.
You loved it.
I did love him.
Yeah, that is true. You loved him when you had him.
As soon as he gets past round 3, Joe just sticks auto draft on and goes on Minecraft.
All right, Stan.
Did it work?
Was a sleeper pick?
It's your shitty team.
Yeah, sure. I think that's where we're at now.
Run with it.
It's still really tough. Like I honestly haven't put like an awful lot of thought into it at this point in the season.
I've got 2. Do you want me to give you one that you can make an argument for?
All right, go on then. Spoon feed me the sleeper.
My big thing in fantasy football is you get volume. Like you don't have to be the best player in the world, especially at running back. And if we're going with Joe's strategy of going Pat Mahomes #1 overall, I've got 2 guys who are in absolutely barren backfields apart from them.
Nice.
First, Mike Davis in Atlanta.
Okay.
Who filled in admirably, you could say, for the Carolina Panthers last year. He showed he could do it on
very
the ground.
good.
He was very good.
And through the air. Joe, was it you that picked Mike Davis up?
Nope.
No, I think I did try to trade for him at some point.
Well, I think you did trade for him. I just traded everything away at the end of the season. Do you
want to hear the other running backs on Atlanta's roster at the moment?
Ito Smith and...
No, you're wrong. Cordero Patterson, Quadri Ollison, Tony Brooks-James, Javian Hawkins, and Caleb Huntley.
I don't know who any of those people
Javian Hawkins.
You know Cordero Patterson, don't lie.
Oh,
yeah, Javian Hawkins was the Louisville running back from this year, who I like. Is a little bit of a sleeper, but he won't receive many touches.
So Mike Davis, you know he's going to get a lot of volume in that offense.
That is true.
And PPR, the proven pass catcher as well. I think he could be a sneaky good pick. And I mean, I don't know when you can get him. Probably reasonably late in. Yeah. 75. He's going 75 overall at the moment, running back 31.
I like that pick.
Like that.
The other one would be Najee Harris, because I think they're going to feed him a stupid amount of the ball. He'll be their goal line back as well, and again, pass catching. He can do it. And who else is on that roster at the moment?
He's like
it's Anthony McFarland.
You know, I really like that pick, actually, Najee Harris, because of the amount the Steelers run the ball. Even when James Conner was crap, they still fed him the ball an awful lot of the time. And Najee Harris, he's going to be like James Conner on steroids. Like, he can actually run with the ball. He's fast. He can catch the ball as well. It's going to be like...
I wouldn't even compare him to James Conner at all.
No, I don't think we should say them in the same sentence.
The issue you have with both of those teams is you're really reliant on the volume, because neither of them have really dominating of offensive lines.
Yeah.
So
I think the
really
Steelers
need them to give it to them through the air on the ground at least like 20 to 30 times a game.
Yeah, I think Harris on the Steelers is the best pick because of the strength of the Steelers defense. They'll be able to keep them in games. They'll be able to run the ball a lot more than Atlanta will this year. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Does anybody know who's leading the Jets backfield?
Oh, that is a very good question, isn't it? Because that is a.
Oh, it's funny.
LaMichael
Do you want to know?
LaMichael
Michael
Pirine.
P.
I
Ryan,
think
Evan
Tevin
Coleman,
Coleman.
Michael
I mean,
Carter, the rookie.
Yeah,
Ty
just thinking
Johnson,
from the
Josh
perspective
Adams,
of like volume as well.
Walker.
Like, obviously, Wilson's rookie QB, they've got high hopes for him, but they're probably, especially early in the season, going to want to lean on the run game a little bit. Defensive-minded head coaches tend to favor a run-heavy approach on offense as well.
It's a West Coast offense they're running, yeah.
It's the Shanahan system. They've got
Yeah,
their
exactly.
offensive coordinator was from the 49ers last year. Tevin
It's
Coleman has
Mike
basically played in
LaFleur.
that system his entire career.
Yeah,
If
it's Matt
he's
LaFleur's
healthy, I
brother.
think he'll be him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a sneaky good pickup.
I just
on
don't
the
trust him to
subject-
stay healthy.
On the subject of rookies, how about the other first-round rookie running back, Travis Etienne? Because
Now James
is why-
Robinson's there.
Didn't
no.
happen.
Have you heard where they're actually playing him? He's not even
Everywhere.
He's basically not going to play running back. He's going to play more slot
That's
receiver.
cool.
They wanted to get Kadarius Toney, but by that point he wasn't available. So they're basically going to play Travis Etienne in that sort of role.
So they're going to get a different
Wait,
dude. And get
is
to
that
change
some sort of joke?
Nope. They like him as a catch and run receiver,
Is
basically.
Urban Meyer stupid?
Why would they not take someone like Elijah
Possibly.
Moore then, who's actually a slot receiver?
Yeah.
They
they've
preferred
literally
what
got
Travis
LaVisca
Etienne
Chenault as
could
well.
do with the ball in his hands compared to Elijah
They took
Moore.
LaVisca Chenault the year before as a gadget man. Like, why are you getting?
Oh, yeah,
Etienne to
yeah.
play slot?
Elijah Moore, I think, is going to be one of those players that might be worth a late round flutter, to be honest. Like, huge news coming out.
Yeah,
of
he's a
about
bit
him.
like a Chase Claypool kind of like second round, not as in the same type of player, but as in like that sort of second. You could probably get away with him in very late on, and like I got Chase Claypool on waivers, and he did absolute bits to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting so much hype out of training camp. I know it's training camp with a pinch of salt, but no one from the Jets ever gets hype. So
Yeah,
that
new
says
QB. The new QBs tend to link up with early round receivers when they can.
Anybody else slightly intrigued by the coming out of the Broncos training camp? Hilton, the one who was it Kendall Hilton? Played a QB for them that game when everyone went down with Corona, and apparently he's been sick for them in training camp.
I'm intrigued in him as a story, as a fantasy prospect, not as much.
I'm not intrigued
because it's a
player
story.
in Denver.
He could be one to look out for to pick up at some point in the season.
Mate, we've already said how deep their receiving core is. I don't think he's getting anywhere near the field for substantial time.
The only Denver player that I take a chance on is what's he called? Noah Fant.
Do you reckon?
I don't trust
the QB situation there, really.
Cortland Sutton's put up good numbers.
Sutton is a great player, but
there's a question then. Do you take a risk on some Denver players on the off chance Aaron Rodgers turns up?
Well, that is a risk.
Or Deshaun Watson, apparently.
I mean, if they're there late on,
about him. We don't talk about him until the case is finished.
Oh, shut up.
We don't have the legal department for this.
Literally, shut up. You can mention that a player exists.
You definitely can.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess if there are some Bronco, like if Cortland Sutton slips because everyone is doubting Drew Lock, then
that would be stupid because Cortland Sutton is genuinely
he's a good player anyway. Puts up 1,000-yard receiver
on that team.
Just put it in the same fucking postcode, and he'll make a decent attempt to get it.
Especially with how kind of disappointing Jerry Jeudy was last season. After all we heard sort of coming out and going into that season, we were expecting big things, but Cortland Sutton has been just.
I think Jerry Jeudy will take a step forward this year. I mean, we've seen countless times that receivers have still put up numbers, even with subpar quarterbacks.
Yeah, I just haven't seen a year that Cortland
example.
Sutton. Yeah, I just haven't seen a year where Cortland Sutton hasn't taken a step forward. But I've seen a year
other than when he destroyed his ACL this season. But yeah, when he's on the field, he's been great.
Yeah, but I mean, freak injuries happen. But
yeah,
it's like we said, Dak didn't look better this year because he had an injury.
He did look worse. He wasn't throwing the ball.
Did look bad.
Did look worse when he was getting carried off on a stretcher.
Yeah, that's not what you want before, but you want a bit more athleticism. So I mean, we spoke about volume being a key indicator, especially with these late round guys. That's definitely worth taking a pick on. Are there any backfields that you're looking that's too congested? You can't be sure that a guy's going to make it out of there and be the guy.
Dolphins. I mean, who the fuck knows? Myles Gaskin will get some. Ahmed will get some. Like, other than that, there's a bunch of other Like Patrick Laird, who is there or thereabouts.
Miles Gaskin, he was all right for me last year because he averages he's like solid for them, but he's not going to blow your socks off.
Jared Dokes, Patrick
What?
Laird. Who are these people?
Patrick Laird's the white running back.
Jared Dokes was a draft. We drafted him this year. He's like a power back. Patrick Laird's like a gadget dude. He's pretty elusive, but he's not very fast or strong. The thing with the Dolphins' backfield as well is you don't really know until game day how it's going to go because they're all so injury prone that there might just be one week where there's literally only one who's healthy. Yeah,
that's a good point. Another one in the AFC East would be the Patriots because any given week, one of them could go off and have a great game, and then you sign them on fantasy. And then they're quiet for 6 games and then randomly go off as soon as you sell them again. That's the Patriots way.
Yeah, I was actually speaking about this earlier in the week. Do you guys remember Jonas Gray that popped off like that 200-yard, 4-touchdown game against the Colts, missed a couple of meetings, and then he never played for the Patriots again?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Bill Belichick just hates fantasy owners. He's never going to keep it consistent.
It's one of the reasons why Patriots suck.
I think it's more that he is very unpredictable, and hence you can't really predict who.
Which is almost a good thing in a coach, but bad if you're trying to draft his players.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's built a team that doesn't rely on one person putting up big numbers.
There's one. So go on, Sam.
Yeah, I think just one backfield you want to stay away from this year is one play you want to stay away from is I think Melvin Gordon in the early rounds, whereas previously I'd been an advocate for taking him. They've just drafted Javonte Williams out of UNC, also another really high-ranking running back prospect, my second favorite in the class. He's sat there as well, and he's only going to take up touches, so I think his value is going to be slashed again. So if you take him in the fourth, you could get good value for him, but I wouldn't take him much earlier.
I think Williams probably claims that backfield down the latter half of the season, so he's probably smarter pick, isn't it? I think you're taking him in the hope that he claims control of it going in sort of week 12 onwards, and so you've got into the playoff run.
Gordon was brilliant last year, though. You got to remember.
I know, but they traded up to draft him in the second round. You don't do that unless you see something for a running back as well. You don't see that unless you're going to give him significant game time.
That's a good point. Another one is maybe San Francisco as well, because you've got Raheem Mostert and Trey Sermon there now. So Trey Sermon you can probably get better value for, but Mostert I would stay away from.
I'd say Mostert's the guy, but again, he's been banged up. Has been a little bit of an issue. One that sort of got a guy going really high, I think is going to fall off a bit this year because they brought back Marlon Mack, who, if he hits a lot, I don't know what's going to happen in that Colts backfield. Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, and Naheem Hines are all we're going to probably rotate.
Well, we saw that Naheem Hines and Jonathan Taylor could both play to a good standard while each other were in the team. But
Hines wasn't great fantasy-wise.
He was pretty good in the air, especially in a PPR league.
He had a couple of absolute boom weeks, to be fair.
And he would get he's like the third down receiving back sort of thing.
The issue is with Jonathan Taylor being the 8th running back off the board at the moment. Does that worry you when Mack's in the backfield as well?
Yeah, Mack's class. I'd start Mack over Hines, to be honest with you. I think Marlon Mack is a brilliant running back.
I think he is a better player, overall. But I think Jonathan Taylor is a better runner than Marlon Mack, and unfortunately, Hines Ward is a better receiver than Marlon Mack. So
Hines Ward.
Sorry.
Hey,
Naheem
Hines Ward is.
I would say Hines Ward is also a better receiver. There's another team.
Go for it.
That I was thinking.
I haven't said my least favorite yet.
Well, go ahead. You say it first.
I mean, it's the team that's basically the worst at everything at the moment. Let me just list some of their players for the Texans: David Johnson, Mark Ingram, Philip Lindsay, Rex Burkhead. How do you know out of those four who's going to get it on any specific week?
David Johnson until he's inevitably averages 1 yard, and then you'll give it to Mark Ingram, who will inevitably pull a calf injury, and then you'll pass it out of the backfield to Rex Burkhead, who will get concussed.
Philip Lindsay as well is in that team.
Oh yeah, shit. I don't have fact.
Yeah,
well, he's probably the most consistent one out of all of them.
That is a terrible backfield though to try and decipher who's going to get the majority of the touches.
Vote about
Yeah.
one, it would be Philip Lindsay, just because he's the least likely to get injured.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to have to bet on any of those.
No.
Exactly. Very
Which
true.
is sort of
luckily,
the
you
point
don't
of the
have to.
exercise. So, Joe,
Very
you
true.
said you had another one.
I don't like David Montgomery and the Bears this year.
Yeah,
You don't
that's
mean-
the thing.
Oh, yeah.
I do
you
mean
not?
David Montgomery. And
Yeah, I
the
still have
Bears.
David Johnson up on my screen.
I mean,
and
there's
apologise.
always the thing with David Montgomery over the last few years that people, Tariq Cohen might have an off game where he kind of gets the majority of the touches and stuff. And there were a few games last season where Tariq Cohen kind of got more touches. And now they've added Khalil Herbert, who I secretly think was one of the better running back prospects in the draft as well.
Is he the Virginia Tech guy?
Yeah, and he's gonna get a few of the carries, I think, this year. So it's just adding another factor into a team where it kind of fluctuates who gets more carries.
On that as well,
week on week.
Matt Nagy seems to just not trust David Montgomery very much. Like he seems to have.
And they brought in Damian Williams.
That is true, but also David Montgomery is clearly like the most talented out of those, I would say.
That's why
But
it's bogus.
The issue with David Montgomery is
He's
that
not
he became a
consistent
meme
enough.
when they did that comparison thing. When there's a scout up to the draft, he's got the feet of this, he's got the vision of this guy. Basically, they just pick the best player in each sort of category. It's like when you build an Uber quarterback, but they did that for David Montgomery, and he's never going to live up to those expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the idea of David Montgomery, I think he's a good
feet
player,
of Barry Sanders,
but he's never going to be as good as what his draft position is going to have to
the
be.
shoulders
to
of
get him.
Bo Jackson.
Shoulders of Bo Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, but the reason you're drafting David Montgomery is for the volume more than anything.
Yeah, but then if he doesn't have that volume with
The
all these
quads of
players,
Saquon Barkley.
He will get the volume. Cohen, you
does
can't trust.
Justin Fields not take some of those carries?
That's a good point.
What, when Andy Dalton's starting at QB?
He's not
That's
gonna
also
start
the
long.
reason to avoid the running backs there.
That's a good
It's
point.
a bit of a Ravens situation as well. I also don't really like the Ravens backfield to pick a single running back because in
I like
that
Dobbins.
sense as well, I
Yeah,
like
Bob
Dobbins,
QBs.
but then
I
on
like
the
Gus
same
Edwards.
Gus Edwards could equally have the same or more carries in any given week.
I think he's going to be their inside guy, and Dobbins going to be the speed guy. I think Gus
Yeah.
Edwards replaces the Mark
And we
Ingram
do like Dobbins coming around for like end arounds and stuff, and taking the traditional wide receiver routes on like outside runs and stuff. But yeah, it's a weird one. I think either it could fluctuate to either of them because they're both talented guys, and obviously then you've got Lamar Jackson, who's also going to get his fair share of carries as well. So maybe, I don't think you'd go wrong with choosing either of them. I think it'll be worth a running back two, but it's a team of two running back twos rather than a true number one running back.
Also, on the subject of like mobile QBs and their impact on backfields, the Bills' backfield stinks. So don't touch that.
Yeah, Devin Singletary has been a pretty big disappointment.
Blazing disappointment.
They
So
got a
Zach
rookie,
Moss.
didn't they, this year?
No,
Zach
it was
Moss.
last year's Zach Moss, who
No.
everyone thought was going to be great.
Tywan
They-
Jones. Do you remember when they tried to? Is Tywan Jones the guy who they tried to convert to cornerback at one
I have
point?
no idea, mate.
I think
There's
he played for
probably
the
multiple
Raiders.
People that have played in the league
Nah,
called
I
Tywan
think it
Jones.
was Tywan Jones who used to play for the Raiders, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, we don't have any. We'll cut you if you're a running back, but if you play cornerback for us, you can stay on the team."
That is a
And
fucking
he was just like,
loose position change.
imagine, yeah, and he was like a 5'8" running back as well. So switching to corner is like
What?
not the easiest.
How was that?
Surely
ever gonna
nickel
work?
would have had to be, but then he's got
Yeah, I
so
think
much
so,
to do.
but
That's mad. Only the Raiders
Right.
would have
It
done
is a
that.
bit crazy, that.
I think it was officially, and then he'd be like come in on some nickel or dime packages, and then play special teams basically. But
That is electric.
it's weird.
All right. I mean, I think that probably covers it because we spoke about a lot of rookies during that whole session anyway. Which rookie quarterback would you, I don't know, pick up on waivers or take a flyer on towards the end of the draft?
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, yeah, we
Nice.
did a week.
Dude.
Yeah, I think he's more likely to go off in a game. I
Yep.
would say than
He's
Trevor
not going to be
Lawrence.
throwing it a whole bunch though. He's got one
Why not?
target. It's Corey Davis, and
Elijah
I
Moore.
That's just such
It's
like
such
a
a
blanket
lie.
statement. That's just such a loose blanket statement.
Denzel
like-
Mims,
You're a
Jameson
wet-
Crowder.
Yeah, you're a massive wet blanket, Matt. He literally has 4
Yes, I
decent
know.
targets now.
Yeah, I second you on that.
His
Joe.
running back situation isn't great, to be
I
fair.
think you're using the term decent pretty loosely. Corey
I think he's
Davis
going to be a
is
solid
player.
QB too. Like he can be your backup QB on your team, like solidly, and he'll be able to put up like decent numbers. We've seen the production that QBs in the system, like Jared Goff and Jimmy Garoppolo, are prime examples. Like they've been sub-average QBs, or maybe slightly above average in terms of their raw talent, but because of the system, it allows them to like inflate their numbers. Like it's never going to be.
I think they've been worse fantasy quarterbacks than they have real life quarterbacks.
Maybe, but I'd still back Zach Wilson as my QB2 this year.
I wouldn't say week on week, like, if my main QB gets down, I feel comfortable subbing Zach Wilson in. But I would pick up Zach Wilson early and just hoard him away in the event that we see a Justin Herbert situation and like a few breakout games. I would then sort of experiment, maybe depending on who I picked as my QB1, with sticking him in for a few games.
I'd rather grab Trey Lance.
I don't think Trey Lance.
I don't think Trey Lance is going to play at all.
I think Trey Lance will start because Jimmy Garoppolo goes down like a.
I think if Jimmy G goes down, they're going to play Nick Mullins.
Nick Mullins is on the Eagles.
Mullins is gone.
Really?
Brian Hoyer season, baby.
Brian Hoyer.
No, he's on the Patriots. He's in the Patriots.
If Jimmy G goes down, they're going to play Trey Lance.
Yeah, 100%. They traded up to third to take him. There's no way they don't.
And if they played Trey Lance with the way that he's built and what he can do on the ground, especially in that system, I think he would be useful.
Yeah, see, on the ground is the reason that I would pick Justin Fields, because he managed to put fantasy numbers up, and Fields is much better quarterback than Trubisky was.
Okay, tell you what, I'll give you my QB sleepers for this year. So the guys who I would take in my Dak Prescott, Scott.
These two. It's a lovely way to round out the show, Stan. I like it. What have you got then?
Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins.
I think Baker's going to go decently high this year.
They're not. No,
not really.
ESPN have him. Yahoo have
overall.
Yeah, they've got him ranked as what Slew just said. It just seems like a good pick for like the 5th, 6th round, something like that. You got Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins. You know they're going to put up yards. They're going to break 4K yards in terms of passing. It's going to happen. They're going to throw touchdowns as well.
What about Taysom Hill on the off chart just because he may win that competition? Like if he wins, he's going to they're going to run the ball so much.
Because he's not going to get up. He's not going to get that many points. He's not going to get that many points.
I don't trust the decision of starting him. Like, sure, he's going to be there and he's going to have the opportunity to get volume on the ground and through the air.
What's the point in playing enough player? Yeah, what's the point in playing a QB that's going to throw it for about 100 yards, run for about 80 yards?
If they're going to,
you might end up being efficient. He might be efficient with his yards, but he's not getting many. So, like, it's not like he's scoring loads of touchdowns either.
I don't trust him. No,
I really don't like that. I would 100% rather have Jameis Winston anyway in that QB battle. But
he threw for just under 1,000 yards in 4 games last year.
Oh boy, Chase. Oh boy.
And on that bombshell,
it's 2021, bro.
I can bring it
no more.
All right, I think that is the end of today's show. Thank you so much for listening. We're still no closer to deciding what we're going to do in tomorrow's draft, so we'll be posting the result of that on our socials whenever that ends, because we don't know how long the draft picks are. We're really prepared, as you can tell, but those socials are at the Dropback on everything. Make sure you go to our website, thedropback.com, for all our articles and more. Thank you again for watching and for Britballing for hosting us. I've been Sam.
No, can we not do this again?
And I've been joined by Stan, Joe, and Matt. And until next time,
peace.